The data is conclusive. This is the best path forward.
But what about the market volatility?
We factored that in. The projections hold.
12 professional interpreters stood in polished suits under the bright conference lights, and one by one, they failed. The room grew tense, the foreign investors whispered impatiently, and $1 billion deal began slipping through trembling fingers. No one noticed the quiet cleaning man in the corner, until he gently said, "Excuse me, sir. I think I can help." What happened next left the entire company speechless, and changed one little girl's life forever. Stay with me, because this story isn't just about languages, it's about hidden worth, silent sacrifices, and a father who refused to let the world define him. The headquarters of Al Hassan Global stood tall in the center of the city, its glass walls reflecting ambition and power. Inside the largest conference hall, tension floated thicker than the expensive perfume in the air. The CEO, Karim Al Hassan, a self-made billionaire known for his sharp mind and zero tolerance for mistakes, paced near the head of the table. Today's meeting was critical. Investors from Germany, Japan, Brazil, France, China, and Turkey had gathered to finalize a partnership that would expand the company into 8 new markets. Everything depended on smooth communication. But something was going terribly wrong. The first interpreter stumbled over technical financial terms in German. The second mixed up cultural expressions in Japanese, offending the delegation without realizing it. The French representative frowned when her words were mistranslated. Portuguese figures were misquoted. Mandarin tones were mispronounced. Turkish idioms were completely misunderstood. One by one, 12 interpreters, all certified and highly paid, failed under pressure. Karim's jaw tightened. Millions of dollars were evaporating in awkward silences and confused faces. The investors began whispering among themselves in their native languages, frustration clear. In the far corner of the room, pushing a quiet cleaning cart, stood Omar Rahman. Omar was invisible to most people in the building. A single father in his late 30s, he worked night and early morning shifts cleaning offices. His uniform was simple, slightly worn. His hands were rough from labor. No one ever asked about his past. But Omar listened. He always listened. As the investors spoke rapidly in Mandarin among themselves, Omar's grip tightened on the mop handle. He understood every word. When the German delegate muttered about withdrawing, Omar felt his heartbeat quicken. He shouldn't interfere. This wasn't his place. Yet he remembered his daughter, Amina, sitting at their small kitchen table the night before, doing homework under a flickering bulb. "Baba," she had asked, "why don't you use your languages job again?" "My teacher said knowing many languages is special." Omar had only smiled gently. Sometimes, Beta, life changes plans. What Amina didn't know was that before his wife's sudden death 5 years ago, Omar had worked as a freelance translator for international organizations. He had studied linguistics abroad on scholarships, learning languages out of necessity while moving through refugee programs as a child. German from neighbors. Mandarin from a professor who believed in him. Portuguese from a roommate. French from books he borrowed and never returned on time. Turkish from the streets. Japanese from late-night study sessions. Arabic and English from survival. When his wife became ill, he left everything to care for her. After she passed, debts consumed him. Stable work became more important than prestigious work. So he took the cleaning job. It was steady. It paid rent. But now, as he heard the investors preparing to leave, something inside him refused to stay silent. He stepped forward carefully. "Excuse me, sir," he said in calm, clear English. Karim turned sharply, irritation flashing. "This is a private meeting." "I understand, sir," Omar replied respectfully. "But if I may. I speak German, Japanese, Mandarin, French, Portuguese, Turkish, Arabic, and English fluently. I believe there have been some misunderstandings. Perhaps I can clarify." The room went silent. a cleaning man? Karim stared at him, skeptical. This is not the time for jokes. Omar gently switched to German and repeated the exact financial proposal, correcting the earlier error flawlessly. The German delegate's eyes widened. Then he turned to Japanese, apologizing formally with the precise level of respect required in business culture. The Japanese investors visibly relaxed. He addressed the French representative with elegant phrasing. He explained the Portuguese figures with accuracy. He clarified Mandarin concerns with perfect tones. He summarized Turkish points with cultural nuance. The room transformed. What minutes earlier felt like collapse now felt like harmony. For 2 hours, Omar stood beside the CEO, translating seamlessly, bridging not just language but trust. His voice remained steady, humble. He didn't try to impress. He simply connected people. When the final document was signed, applause filled the room. The deal was secured. As the investors left, many shook Omar's hand with admiration. Karim remained still, studying him. "Meet me in my office," he said quietly. Omar's heart pounded. Had he overstepped? He finished his shift silently and walked toward the executive floor for the first time in his life. Karim's office overlooked the entire city. The view alone could intimidate anyone. Omar stood near the door, holding his cap respectfully. "Where did you learn all that?" Karim asked, not unkindly. Omar hesitated, then told the truth. About scholarships. About refugee camps. About late-night studies while working part-time jobs. About his wife's illness. About choosing stability over prestige for his daughter's sake. Karim listened without interruption. "Why are you cleaning floors?" he finally asked. "Because floors don't judge, sir," Omar said softly. "And my daughter needs food more than I need pride." The words hit harder than any business statistic. Karim thought about the 12 interpreters he had hired based on polished resumes and impressive suits. None had delivered under pressure. Yet the man mopping his floors had saved everything. "Starting tomorrow," Karim said slowly, "you will head our international communications department." Omar blinked, stunned. "Sir, I don't even own a proper suit." "Then we will buy you one," Karim replied. "But understand this, I'm not offering charity. I'm correcting my mistake. I overlooked talent because of appearance." Omar's eyes filled with tears he quickly tried to hide. "Thank you, sir." That evening, Omar returned home later than usual. Amina ran to the door. "Baba! Why are you smiling like that?" He knelt down and held her tightly. "Because sometimes, Beta. Allah opens doors when you least expect." Weeks later, Omar stood once again in the conference hall, but this time in a tailored suit. Not as a cleaner. Not as an invisible man. But as a respected professional leading a global team. He still arrived early sometimes, though, not to clean, but to remind himself where he started. And he never forgot to greet the janitors with warmth. Karim, too, changed. He introduced new policies ensuring talent from all backgrounds had opportunities. He began offering education grants for employees' children, including Amina. Years later, when Amina graduated at the top of her class in international relations, she stood on stage and said, "My father taught me that dignity is not defined by your job, but by your character." The audience rose in applause. 12 interpreters had failed that day. But a poor cleaning single dad had spoken 8 languages, and taught an entire company the language of humility, respect, and hidden greatness. And maybe, just maybe, someone listening to this story today is standing quietly in the corner of a room, believing they are unseen. If that's you, remember this, your moment may be closer than you think. Because sometimes, the world doesn't need louder voices. It needs braver ones.